Vanakkam, raise your Vanakkam. Namaskara. Namaskar. Diyo boro des diyam. Sat Sri Akal. And Jai Shri Krishna. Wonderful. Namaskar Maharaj too. And chunki hum Egypt ki dharti pe hain, Sawa al Khair and Taba Yamu ki. Ladies and gentlemen, have a pleasant day. This is Geetika Ganjudhar. Hello everybody. And I welcome you all to day 2 of the largest apex body convention of Credai here in Egypt this year, the Credai Natcon 2023, a futuristic convention at a historic destination. Let's warm ourselves up, please. Zor se, Zordar. This is because all of you finally came. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin, I'd like to share with you how Shakti, the primordial cosmic energy, has traveled the world and has now made its way back to its source, our land. Indeed, truly, really, a new yug, a new era has begun. As India prepares to take on the mantle of Vishwaguru, armed with our Indic adage of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future, led by the leader designated, our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, all of you, our real estate developers, you are going to create, craft, and build that new India. Already this force that you wield is a $500 billion industry. I read this. And what is predicted is that when we celebrate 100 years of India's independence, you will be a $5.8 trillion industry. So come, let's build together, let's change the world together, armed with the spirit extraordinaire that is Credai, and armed with the spirit extraordinaire that is India. Yahan upasthit ek maharathi ka, yahan upasthit ek mahasevak ka, और यहाँ उपस्थित हर हर महादेव का मैं हृदय से क्रेडाई नैटकॉन की धरती पे डे 2 में एक बार फिर से स्वागत करती हूँ. Come on, energy! Going straight into the title of the panel, the first session will put the spotlight on fractional ownership and tokenization in real estate. The moderator of this session, Dhawal, was earlier telling me how we will be able to trade our properties, manage our properties online like we trade stocks through our demat accounts. How legalities, processes, documentation, everything will be online. Wow, this is going to be such a bang, a boom for your industry. Let's invite on stage the panelists of this session. Shan Zaveri, partner Terrazzo, please join me on stage. Zordar taaliyan hamare panelists ke liye. Yes. Lots of appreciation and gratitude for your presence here this morning. Please join us. Shiv Parekh, founder and CEO, HBits. Good morning. Are you please? And to moderate this first session of the day, please put your hands together as I welcome on stage Dhawal Ajmera, the director of Ajmera Realty and Infra India. This is over to you. Once I thank the esteemed panelists for their presence with mementos, token of our affection, may I please invite on stage Munjal Thakur from Team Credai, Gujarat, to felicitate Shan Zaveri, please. And may I also invite on stage Rajesh Prajapati from Credai National to felicitate Shiv Parekh. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Shan and Shiv both. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And Dhawal, here you go. 3, 2, 1. Take the session forward.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I know it was a great evening last night. Thanks to Chairman, President, and President-elect for having us a wonderful party. But I think thoda kaam dhanda bhi aur kar lete hai. This is what we are here for, and also to enjoy. So let's start something which we all are really excited for. Uh, I was just thinking that, yesterday when we were listening to so many panelists over here, they were saying that India is really on a rise with so much of data being shown to us, that how India is going to grow over the next 10, 15 years. Shekhar Bhai also mentioned that next 7, 10 years is going to be really boom with all the statistics coming in terms of real estate. So I was just thinking that agar India ka itna growth hai and India is having such a great boom, so I'm sure the growth is not only in residential, but the growth is in all asset classes like commercial, residential, warehousing, retail. And residential is something which we actually sell, we construct, we sell, and we get our money as and how we progress. Commercial primarily, that is big projects or big spaces, are actually sold or leased out once it is ready. While there are giants like many companies which have been doing larger commercial projects, but if we have to really look at somebody who wants to put in money in doing a project and making larger spaces, so eventually if they have to sell that that piece of land, it becomes very, very challenging to find a customer of, let's say, 20 crores, 30 crores or 100 crores of a unit size. And that is limited to either a fund or an HNI. But how can we really make this, something which is very, affordable, or probably in the catch of a common man who can be, every person can be an investor. So let's say I'm just giving as an example of, I probably own some percentage of shares in Reliance, so I'm a some percentage holder if you look at in the stock market, and I'm a some percentage shareholder of Reliance. So can I also do the same thing in real estate? अगर मेरे पास एक 100 करोड़ का office है, which is a space of office space which is worth 100 crores, can I own this by merely 10 lakh rupees or 20 lakh rupees? Can I become a percentage shareholder? So this was a new concept which was started, and I would, I'm very happy to introduce Mr. Shiv Parekh, who's from HBits, who has revolutionized this concept, and he has actually taken up this ahead with getting investors with a token size of as small as 25 lakh rupees. And so giving, one of my own personal example, that post-COVID, when we made an office building, and the lot size, one office space was about 30 odd crores. And when we were honestly a little worried that where will we actually find investors or HNIs who are ready to take up this office space of 30 crores there, because it will be very limited. So that's when we met Shiv, and then he came up with this concept that, he is taking investors with a ticket size and investment of just 25 lakh rupees. And that is how he collected 25 lakh rupees from 100 plus investors.
120, yeah.
125 investors taking that same lot of 30 crores and selling it to 125 different people. Because the reach became faster, the reach became nearer. So I would request Shiv, if you can please give some introduction and how does this concept really work, and it's been a phenomenal success, and Shiv today owns asset worth I think 250 crores. 250 crores. So it's a great concept for all of us as developers, that I can make larger offices. I can not worry about going to only HNIs or funds, but I can also go to people like Shiv who can actually take up that asset and sell further on to smaller lots and manage this. Shiv, can you please explain and give us how does this work?
Sure, no, great. Thanks for the kind intro, Dhaval bhai, and great to be on this panel. And I think it's been great few sessions yesterday and today as well. So I think like Dhaval bhai you mentioned, basically I think for a developer, um, ultimately there are two kinds of customers. One is the end customer who's going to occupy the property, and predominantly, and you sell to that customer. That's primarily the case in residential. But another kind of customer is you sell your property as an investment. And right now, fractional ownership focuses on that segment of customers or investors. So I'll just, you can just pull up the slides. I'll just, yeah, oh, perfect. So I think to talk about the customers, and I'd want to, discuss it in two different ways in this presentation. One about what do investors look for, and then how real estate forms a great investment. And then after that, how this model that Dhavalbhai just introduced is very attractive for developers. So firstly, in terms of, overall, to start with, what do investors look for in an investment? And we decided, we deliberated this internally, and we thought there are 5 major things that an investor will look for in any investment. One is safety and capital preservation. That's number one. Someone shouldn't lose their money. Number 2 is return maximization. Just what is on 100 rupees, how much can you make in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years? Number 3 is transparency. How transparent is the investment? Do I know all the details of that investment before investing? And after investing, do I have complete clarity into what I'm putting my money into? Number 4 is hassle-free ownership. So once I make the investment, I want to be completely stress-free. I've done my work before investing. Now I don't want to think about it. I only want to think about it when I'm exiting. And then number 5 is your liquidity. Can I exit any time that I want? Or even if it's not the same day, do I know that if I want to exit today, I'll be able to exit within 15 days or 1 month. I have clarity that when I want to exit, I will be able to exit. So these are the 5 attributes of generally what makes a good investment. So traditionally, real estate has offered 2 of these 5 attributes, right? Capital preservation. Real estate has been, in fact, probably the most secure asset class if you compare to equity, if you can compare to any other asset class. The land value intrinsically is secure because people are moving towards cities. So you're always secure when you're investing in real estate in terms of capital preservation. Number 2, in terms of returns, real estate is a combination of 2 kinds of returns. There's rental yield, and then there's capital appreciation. So that also real estate has offered. Residential has been more focused on capital appreciation, while commercial, there's a combination of rental yield and capital appreciation. But the other 3 generally in real estate have been lacking. At the same time, though, real estate today, if you look at it in India, the amount invested in real estate that's not your primary residence is 80,000 crore. Mutual funds, for instance, on the other hand, is just 46,000 crore. So Indians love real estate, and they love investing in real estate, and primarily it's because of these 2 reasons that real estate has offered capital preservation, and it's offered rental yield, and it's offered basically security as well as returns. But the other 3 things have been lacking in real estate. Transparency. It's historically been a very opaque industry. If you want to acquire a property somewhere, you'll have to talk to the broker, understand, what other transactions have happened in the market. Generally, developers know more than the investor or the customer. So there's always been a lack of, this insecurity as to ultimately, am I paying the right price for that asset? So that transparency in real estate has been lacking historically. Other is obviously, real estate is not hassle-free traditionally, because if you own a property, you have to manage it. You have to pay property tax. If there's any issue with the tenant, you have to help the tenant fix it. Whether it's in residential and you have a tenant or in commercial and you have a tenant, it's not hassle-free. There is property management involved. There is a lot of, things that you need to do to manage the property. And finally, liquidity. Real estate, obviously, it's not always been as liquid as, say, the stock market. And that's just the nature of, real estate, because assets are in a specific location. So the universe of buyers obviously is much smaller. Now what we are doing at HBits, and I think a lot of other players, Shan included, we are trying to solve these other 3 points that real estate has been lacking. We're trying to offer transparency, we're trying to offer hassle-free ownership, and we're trying to offer liquidity. And that's where fractional ownership comes in. You're offering the benefits of real estate, and then these 3 other things that were lacking in real estate, and solving them for investors. And I'll come to why this is important for a real estate developer, but just looking at from a customer or investor's perspective first is important. Right, so fractional ownership, and so far we've been focused on commercial. But when I say commercial, I mean offices, I mean warehouses, I mean data centers. Even in residential, it can include, student housing, co-living, senior living, basically any rental form of real estate. So again, it offers capital preservation. You're offering 8 to 9%, 8 to 10% rental yield. And along with appreciation, you can make 13 to 18% IRR. Here I'm talking about finished projects where OC is already received and tenants are already in place and you can buy that property. And then the other three aspects, right? The investment is completely transparent. You have all the details available on the dashboard, which is why, we have customers investing, say, in our assets in Mumbai. 30% of customers are NRIs, 30% come from South India. So they're sitting across the world looking at their laptop, their iPhone, and you're seeing the leave-in license agreement there, you're seeing your title report from tier 1 lawyers there. So it's completely transparent. The same, and even after investment, the same way you can track your stock portfolio on a Zerodha. I think Dhaval Bhai mentioned that, owning a share in a Reliance stock, you can track everything about your Reliance stock. The same you can track about the asset on your dashboard. Ownership is also hassle-free because there are players like us that manage the ownership. And then on the platform, you can exit at any point in time that you want. So that's basically, from an investor perspective, what fractional ownership is offering. And just as a quick snippet, this is kind of, when you make an investment, you generally look at risk return. So fractional ownership over here in this slide, they've kept it as HBITs, but effectively fractional ownership offers very good, very superior risk-adjusted returns. It's a blend between equity and debt. Equity, sure, you can make 20, 25% IRR, but it can also go to zero. Debt, FDs, you'll make 6, 7%. Today it's a little bit higher, 7 odd percent. But that's it. You're not going to make more than that. And this is the benefit of real estate. And that's why, you've had global players like Blackstone, Brookfield investing in real estate. You've had Ultra HNIs investing in real estate. But for a 25 lakh investor, there have not been that many options. You can buy a second apartment here, there, which is why already there's 80,000 crore invested. But how do we increase that even further? How can we say someone sitting in Ahmedabad, how do they invest in Bangalore? That's where fractional ownership comes in. And how is this relevant from a developer's perspective? Right? I think, like I said, there are a multitude of asset classes. So, if someone is developing offices, warehouses, data centers, schools, hospitals, student housing, co-living, any rental asset, this is an exit option for developers. I think a developer's business is to build the building, then either sell it to the end user or rent it to the end user. So if you rent it to the end user, then how do you exit? This is the exit option for developers. So it completely opens up the possibility of what can be constructed, and then you rent it out. I mean, if you look at, say, the US markets, even if you look at residential, you look at the US markets, 80% of, or 80+% of residential real estate is multi-family housing or rental housing. In India, that concept is still not established yet. But this, fractional ownership, new age concepts enables that. It enables a much stronger rental market. So if I just wanted to touch, say one segment, if you look at office spaces as of today, in India, in terms of grade A offices, there's 700 million square feet of grade A offices. That's approximately 7 lakh crore. So even for these grade A developers, what is the exit option, right? If you look at, say, the REIT market today, in the office space, there are only 3 listed REITs today. Total market cap of these 3 listed REITs and total assets in those 3 listed REITs is about 55,000 crore. Even if you say a few other developers, their talks, they're going to come up with REITs. Say you add 1,50,000 additional REITs will come up. That's about 2 lakh crore worth of assets. Or say 1,50,000 crore worth of assets. There's remaining 5,50,000 crore worth of grade A assets in this country that requires an exit at some point. The developer's done his job. The developer's built up the assets. He's rented it to grade A tenants. I mean, just the example that we did with Dhaval Bhai, we did his asset. So who do you sell that asset to? That 5,50,000 crore asset. So that's where fractional ownership comes in. That's an exit option where you're selling it to, a multitude of retail investors of a ticket size of 25 lakh. And so that's what I was talking about, right? There are generally 4 different exit options for developers. One is REITs. Only 3 REITs as of today. And, generally to list a REIT, you require assets worth 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 crore, which is limited to maybe a handful of 10 developers in the country. Otherwise, there are funds. Even from a funds perspective, there are either global funds who acquire assets of 1,000, 2,000 crore. There are a handful of 2 or 3 Indian funds that will acquire assets of 500 crore plus. Then you can sell to ultra HNIs. Ultra HNIs, will buy assets 20, 30, 100, 150 crore. But like that in the country, in India, there are probably 100, 200 ultra HNI investors who have that capacity to invest and have that mindset and willingness to invest, because it's even an investment, it's a full-time role. It's not just you park your money and you forget about it. So again, from a developer perspective, that's where fractional ownership offers a great exit option to developers, because fractional ownership platforms can invest as low as 20 crore. So you don't have to sell your full asset. You can just sell floor by floor. You can decide when to exit. You don't have to sell your full asset today. You can sell part by part as and when, as a developer, you require that liquidity. So obviously, ultra HNI is another option if you want to exit just 20, 50, 100 crore. But then, you're not dealing with a professional institute, an institutional player that's much more systematic, much more structured. So that's where fractional ownership comes in. So that's why it's a great exit option for developers. And finally, just to touch upon the regulation, I think we are very excited that SEBI is looking to recognize this concept. They came up with a consultation paper in May. They've called it MSM REIT. I think that's a great terminology, medium, small, micro REITs, small REIT basically, asset specific. And what SEBI's done, just to very briefly touch upon, I think at least as per their consultation paper, it'll be interesting to see how the regulation shapes up. But they're making it much more accessible. So our minimum ticket size is 25 lakh, but SEBI is making it even more accessible. In the consultation paper, they proposed 10 lakh as a minimum ticket size. It's going to be liquid. It's going to be listed. So liquidity, further increases. So structurally, what SEBI is doing will just enhance the liquidity of this asset. So you can, again, liquidity is very important as investment, and it's very important to see what an investor wants, because as the market builds, then the options for developers to what they can build increases. There's credibility, so the players that can run a fractional ownership platform or an MSM REIT, they have net worth requirements, they have requirement of experience of the platform, so you'll only have legitimate players. And then there's several disclosure norms, required by SEBI, so there's complete transparency. So this is just a brief summary of, fractional ownership, and I'm sure we can, have a great discussion going forward.
Thank you so much, Shiv. I think, what I really get this as an advantage, at least to the developers, is that the biggest thing is that if I'm owning an asset, or if I've built up an asset, I can sell part of it, and I don't need to really sell the complete thing, because typically in a REIT, what I see is that you need to either sell or you need to list the entire building. They cannot do it as part. And the advantage with fractional ownership is that I can probably sell part of it and retain part of it, or sell to somebody else. So it leaves as a very wider and a bigger option.
Yeah, I think, see, it's from in one line, is basically providing very flexible capital to the developer. It's equity capital, it's not debt capital. So you don't have a, hanging sword as a developer that, okay, I have to make interest payments to the bank, etc. So that, from that sense, you're secure. And yeah, see, if you look at any commercial development, generally it'll take 1 year, 2 years to lease out the full building. But here you lease out one floor, why should you not get an exit and, service the debt you used to construct the building? So you can, floor by floor as you lease, you can exit your asset. Then as a developer, you can also buy back once you have that liquidity from the fractional platform in case you want to buy back the asset. And generally what we've seen with developers that we work with is developers, obviously they have their capital requirements, but otherwise they would like to continue holding and having a share in the asset that they've constructed. So in a way, while we exit and we buy assets from developers, the developers continuing, they own other parts of the asset. And we understand that, given that, personally I come from a development background, my father's a developer, we know what goes into it, that psyche as to what a developer wants. And we want to work with developers, we want to be their partners and provide them as flexible capital as possible.
So this option is only, Shiv, in fractional ownership, is it like only for a ready asset, or let's say even if like today when I'm doing a residential building, I sell the building as in how I develop. Is there an option like this in fractional ownership where you come in towards the construction stage where let's say my plans are passed, I have started construction, and then I actually, probably just sell it as how I sell a residential building, probably a floor to you or something like that. Is there a, like to this fractional ownership, does that an option there,
So-
or they primarily prefer to have ready assets?
No, so theoretically, obviously, it's possible. And I think that's what Shan is doing. Our focus personally is, as of now, from the fractional perspective, to focus on ready assets. But there's nothing stopping players and platforms to look at under construction as well. Only difference, obviously, is that at least our investor base so far that we have, they look at that rental income, that monthly rental income.
All right.
While under construction, obviously, the return will be much higher, but you're not getting monthly income. And the risk obviously is higher because it's under construction.
Right. Thank you so much, Shiv.
Thanks,
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take you to the, the next, the big thing and a revolution which I genuinely feel is going to be a big advantage to us as developers and also to the market. Now that we have RERA in place, now that we have every aspects to look after to ensure that we have our projects being closed and developed as how we move forward. But there is always one thing which we all face, is that I have liked a property, but if I can invest, let's say it's 100 rupees as a property, if I have to invest, I can probably invest 20 rupees. For the balance 80 rupees, I have to either go to a bank, I have to go to a fund, or I have to go to an AIF to probably take that money out. But can this concept of pool of investors, like typically which we have seen, that we have friends and families who come along with us, who trust us, who bring along their capital together with us, they partner with us to see that we invest in a property to buy, to develop, and to then sell. Can I actually do in the same concept of having a pool of hundreds of investors coming in over here and actually being part of this as a ownership to be a success, because higher risk is a higher return. When we invest in a property today, it's when we are, and actually when we make it ready, the value of it is significantly different than what we have actually started it, right? So when I buy a land, till the time I construct and sell and the asset is ready, the value is significantly different. But obviously that requires a lot of capital, that requires a lot of, and capital is not easy. There is a lot of risk, there is a lot of cost involved. But if I have some investors coming in together from the stage, from the time I actually buy a land or thinking of buying a land to actually moving it forward to, constructing it hassle-free without any issues with banks or funds or whatever, and continuing the making of land or developing the land, I think we have Mr. Shan Zaveri, who has really revolutionized this concept of investing with us, holding our hands as developers from the time we actually think of buying a land till the time we actually build. So Shan Zaveri and his team, the company is known as Terrazzo, which has come up with this formula or this great word known as asset tokenization. And Shan, if I'm not mistaken, the token when we call about is about as low as $1,000.
Yes, currently.
So $1,000 is 85 to 90,000 rupees. You can become a part owner of a land which is probably one of the prime most land which we as developers can't even think. But this gives us the opportunity to look at properties which we probably can look at buying or developing in a larger way without worrying about capital, because this concept which Shan would now explain is going to really change a lot what we see in development. So Shan, I'm really excited if you can please tell us, our entire friends and family, how we can really take this up forward.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for having us, Credai. Really grateful to be here. Fantastic location. Shiv, can I have the clicker?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. So I'm going to get up, if that's okay, and just talk about asset tokenization. Like most of you here, I'm a real estate developer. So I've been in this business for more than 25 years, and I come with this solution because I faced a problem in my business, and we hope to solve a problem that some of you may face in your businesses. So that's my background. I live in Ahmedabad. I've done a few projects. The biggest challenge in real estate development is really raising capital. And fundraising has always been an issue, particularly for early stage projects where developers need, a large amount of capital to buy land, construct a building. Typically, there are, two funding models. There's debt and equity. The level of kind of equity changes depending on the model that you choose, but in one form or another, real estate development requires, a large amount of capital. And that's the problem we're trying to solve, is how do you get that capital? How do you keep that, retain that capital? How do you make capital easily available? And that capital available for investors who are looking at, different levels of risk. So, as Dhaval mentioned, it could happen from buying land to constructing a building to sale of a building. There are various stages where one needs capital. And so we're trying to see how we can solve the raising of the capital or exit of a building solution. What are the key challenges of raising capital? Everybody here has raised capital in some form or another. Dhaval mentioned friends and family. That's been our business model all throughout. We've only had a friends and family. And I see many of our friends here who've been very supportive of our endeavors. And one of the key challenges is you want to raise the largest amount of capital from the smallest group of investors. So you want big tickets. Typically, managing these pools of capital are complicated. It requires a lot of hand-holding, a lot of trust, and it becomes a challenge. And the third thing is that typically this is illiquid capital. When you invest in an under-construction project, it just the inherent nature of the asset is that there's likely not to be any liquidity. So we are trying to solve these three challenges with asset tokenization, and I think many of these challenges even Shiv is trying to solve. So it's nice how these concepts come together and try and find solutions for the real estate industry. But we were asking ourselves, is there a better way to raise capital than we've been traditionally doing? Can we reach out to more people than just our friends and family? For every investor we've had so far, we've had many who would have liked to invest with a smaller amount of capital, but we've not been able to accommodate them. So how do you really get investors to enter with small amounts? It's been really, and then how do you get global investors? So far our investors are based in Ahmedabad. It's really people whom we know. Could we reach out to more people within India, within the world? There's a lot of capital chasing good opportunities. So how do you get participation from global investors? And the most important, every investor who's practically invested with us has always posed this question. While they understand that this is long-term capital, they always want to know that should some need occur, is there an opportunity for people to exit? And do they have the flexibility to exit? So these are the kind of problems that every investor will also think about, and every developer will have to manage those expectations. So with this we introduce asset tokenization. So what is asset tokenization? So asset tokenization involves representing fractional ownership of real-world assets, such as real estate. It could be venture capital. It could be other forms of holdings into digital tokens on the blockchain. I won't get into the technicalities of this because this is very similar to buying shares of a company. We all understand how shares work. This is just shares in a digital format. And instead of being listed on an exchange, these are on the blockchain, which is a distributed ledger, which makes the process of issuing and managing tokens extremely efficient and transparent. So how does it work? So you take an asset, or you wish to build an asset. typically that asset is held by an entity. You have a company, you have an LLP, you have a private limited company in India that typically owns an asset. Most developers will set up an SPV. And what we do is we fractionalize shares or partnership interest or units of a fund which own this entity, and we fractionalize them and then we tokenize them. So this is the broad process. This is very similar again to issuing shares of a company, and that's how each person becomes a fractional owner of an asset representing an undivided share. Typically, I've been asked this question a lot, does one token represent specific square feet? No, just like your shares in Reliance don't specifically represent your ownership of an asset. This also is your fractional ownership. It's like buying shares. And we believe that this could become a game changer for developers. How? Well, you can raise equity for your projects. You can have global investors. You can have them coming in with small tickets. You have automated management. So the managing your investor pool, providing all the information, all the disclosures, becomes very easy, and all of this happens in a compliant manner. So Terrazzo is one of the few, if not the first company in India to be doing this in a regulated manner. We are regulated in Gift City under the regulatory sandbox. I must say that we've got tremendous support from the regulators there. It's a game-changing regulator, and we hope that with their help and support, this will really flourish as an industry. And if it's a game changer for investors, for developers, can it also be a game changer for investors? We think so. Why? Because, as Shiv said, who doesn't want to invest in real estate, right? It's a backbone of feeling secure. It's a sense of security for every Indian or every global investor to own some real estate. All we do is make it more investable. We make it easier to participate in. We make it fractional. We make entry easy. The process of getting in and out is fantastic. With this, you can really reach global opportunities. So while we start with our first project that we are tokenizing in Ahmedabad, in Gift City, we are looking at global opportunities. So we would like global investors to invest in Indian opportunities. And similarly, we would like Indian investors to be able to participate in global opportunities. So this is not limited to where the asset is. The asset can be anywhere. There are other rules and regulations, just like you own an asset overseas, there'll be rules and regulations. Similar rules and regulations will apply to this. Now all this happens with enhanced liquidity because these tokens are tradable. They're tradable on our platform. And what that does is the minute you make something tradable, there's price discovery. Because the biggest problem with private equity or equity, project equity, as we all know it, is that it's very difficult to price your equity during the duration of the project. And typically, if you need to exit prematurely, you can almost expect a haircut. So this is how tokenization is a tool that helps you with price discovery, where there's a marketplace, there's a bid and ask, and you can decide at what price you feel comfortable getting into an asset, and a seller can be comfortable getting out of an asset. So what can be tokenized, right? Particularly in the real estate sector. It can be commercial projects, it can be residential projects, it can be industrial projects, warehousing. You can tokenize land. So you can allow participation of investors at the earliest stage, at the stage where you're buying land. So somebody who has that appetite, that risk appetite, that return expectation can come in at the earliest stage. But you can tokenize an asset at any stage. It all depends on what kind of return expectations you are sending, what kind of risk appetite do the investors have. So it's not limited by any stage. We can also tokenize PE and VC funds, another asset class which is typically highly illiquid and hard to get into because the opportunities are not available to most people. And amongst other things, art and collectibles. Fine art has been one of the best performing asset classes globally in the last 3 or 4 years. But most of us don't have access to that asset class. And first of all, most of us don't understand enough to be able to make an informed decision. So you want some of these assets, which are owned by high quality asset managers who are curating the best assets and making them available to investors. When can you tokenize? If you take a real estate project particularly, you can tokenize it, as I said, at the time of buying land or start of project or during construction. You can have a ready asset or a leased asset. So there is no limitation on the duration at which you can participate. It all depends, again, on your business model as a developer, and it depends on what level of participation an investor feels like they want to enter. So typically, what we believe will happen is that higher risk, higher return investors will come in at the earlier stages, and the same investors will be replaced by lower risk, lower return expectation investors as the project goes through the life cycle. And therefore, the asset manager or the developer can continue to hold the asset, or they can transfer the asset. In our business model, we have seen many times that the strategy works best when we hold the asset for a certain duration and then pass it on to somebody else. So depending on your business model, you can decide to tokenize your asset at a time that you feel is right, and when you feel that you can maximize the returns towards the end of the project, or you can really raise capital at the earliest stage of the project. Now, is this possible? We hope so. So, first of all, this is not theory. This is reality. This is really, this is happening in India. This is happening now. We are tokenizing a project in Ahmedabad just as a proof of concept. The next question is, what about regulation? Because like any security, people want to feel secure with their investment. They want to feel confident that there is a recourse to a process of dispute resolution should there be an issue. I'm very pleased to say that, as I said, we are regulated by GIFT IFSC, which is India's newest regulator and a fantastic body. So that's how our project is enabled under the regulatory sandbox. But IFSCA will soon come up with regulation on how to tokenize assets, and we believe that asset tokenization will become a very important method of managing and raising capital globally. And can this work in India? Yes, absolutely, it is working in India. So this is our project. It's called Oryx. It's in Gift City. These are just some renders. And this is a joint venture with some of our friends here, with Savvy. Thank you.
Thank you, Shan. For a developer, I just want to understand that, let's say is that if I take a land or if I'm thinking of buying a land, I have two quick questions. Do you invest as the part of land? That let's say our land is 1 crore rupees, hypothetically, and I'm looking out for 80 lakh rupees as an investment from investors or whatever. Does companies which are doing in the asset tokenization be part of that journey by putting in those 80 lakhs first and then probably exiting it at the time of whenever they want towards being ready or under construction? And number two is that, let's say if I'm doing a project and the the price of that an asset which I like as a residential project, I plan to launch this at 10,000 rupees a square feet, and I'm okay to give to somebody who is ready to pay me 100% advance at, let's say, 8,000 rupees today, when the project is going to be delivered after 2 or 3 years. Does companies like you come in and take that as an 8,000 rupee? And I have a follow-up question. So firstly, we'll work on this.
Yeah, so I think an asset can be tokenized at any stage. It depends on when is the optimal time for you as a developer to raise capital, right? So it will all depend on your business model. You can raise capital at the land stage, and if that's the kind of risk appetite that your investors and are looking for, and you are able to, you have to create a good business model. Because when you sell tokens to somebody, you're going to have to show them the thesis of why this makes investment sense. So it all depends on the business model. If you have a good business model, people will give you money at any stage. So, but I think the nature of the investor changes based on, early stage investors are typically high risk, high return expectation investors. And then there will be other investors who would prefer not to take that risk. And they would say, look, I'm happy with a lower return, but I don't want to take on the execution risk, approval risk. There are so many factors that come into play. So it all depends on the investment thesis that you're able to convince investors to sell. But technically speaking, you can do it at any stage of the project.
So even as a typical investor of buying, ready or under construction assets,
Yeah.
With a price discount and going through the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So it just becomes a model, it becomes a funding model. It can be bridge finance, it can be equity capital, you can tokenize debt for that matter. You can create any flavor that you like, that you believe your investors are going to appreciate. So
And
it has to make sense.
And how about GST and stamp duty and all of that?
So as at the asset level, those don't change. What we are doing is the asset is owned by the entity. The entity is owned by, in our case, it's owned by a fund, and the units of the fund are tokenized. So when the property changes hands, if it does, there is no, at the investor level, it doesn't have any impact on you. Just like when Reliance sells one of its units to another company or does M&A, it will pay tax on that transaction, but as a shareholder, none of that comes to you. So it all depends on the nature of how the deal is structured, but it doesn't do away with the local taxation and other structures. You can create efficient structures to hold equity in these kind of projects and make sure that you create a business model which is the most tax efficient that you can find.
Perfect. Thank you. Last one question to both of you. What is the typical returns does your companies usually expect?
Yeah, so in terms of return profile, generally the rental yield is 8 to 10, 9 odd %. And then along with appreciation, an investor can make anywhere from 13 to 18% IRR. Just as an example, one of our assets that we exited at 17.5% IRR.
Yeah, so again, it depends on the nature of the asset, but typically early stage investors will expect 15 to 25% IRR because they're taking a higher risk, participating at an earlier point in the project. Typically land as an asset class delivers just fantastic returns, at least in the geography in which we operate. So that becomes an important part of the idea. But eventually, if we are making a leasing asset, for example, the Oryx asset, that will also generate a good yield. And then we would like to capitalize, get a good cap rate and take an exit from that project. So it'll all depend on the nature, but it will range between, for equity kind of investment, it will range from 15 to 25%, and for more stable returns, it will range, again, like Shiv said, it will be more in the 10 to 12, 15%.
Thank you very much, both of you. I think it is a great revolution, and we should be, I mean, it is something where today as developers, we have different options available to actually look at our investments and taking our projects in a bigger way. I'm just going to throw open some questions to the audience if they have any, and then probably we'll just close the session. We can just take 2 questions because of it, so for the time being pressed. Yes, sir.
I have 2 questions. Are those smart contracts are enforceable under the Indian legislation? One. And can throw some light on the marketplace. Is it a private marketplace or you have an exchange?
Yeah, so I'll take that. So smart contracts will certainly be enforceable. India will come up with regulation on how to regulate tokenized assets. At this point, I don't know if that exists, but because we are a regulated entity, we are answerable to the regulators, and while we are in the regulatory sandbox, the regulators will have liberty to make sure that investor interest is protected. So I think that the very nature of the smart contract is that it executes a specific instruction without any emotion. So if something is going to happen, it will happen pretty much automatically. So the beauty of the smart contract is that it's different from a traditional contract where somebody can use their discretion to either enforce that contract or not. Sorry, what was the second question?
What is the marketplace? Is it
Yeah.
private
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
an exchange?
So today, no specific marketplace exists to trade these tokens. So we are building our marketplace, and that's our business model, is to create a marketplace for really curated tokenized securities. So we would like to create that venue, that destination where people can come to buy some of the most curated, high quality assets that, if it's real estate, it's something that we understand and we will curate. We're also looking to invite other high quality asset managers on our platform. And similarly, we're also looking to invite a large number of PE firms who also seem to suffer from the same kind of issues that real estate does, which is illiquidity and long duration investments. So we are creating the marketplace where these tokens will be traded peer-to-peer initially, and then more like an exchange going forward.
There was some question from behind. Yeah.
Yeah, hi, this is Kishore here. My question to Mr. Zaveri is, when the tokenization is happening at the land stage, will the token buyers become promoters under the RERA? What will be their status when the land is subsequently developed?
Sure. So I'm going to give you my best guess answer at this point, which is that typically it's hard to tokenize shares currently. So the way we've structured it is that we have an AIF. We've created an AIF, and the units of the AIF are tokenized. So effectively, the token holder is a beneficiary of a fund and does not take any kind of legal responsibility for the operations of the fund. The fund managers, on the other hand, like any other fund that invests in an under construction project, may be subject to some promoter level responsibilities, but those can also be segregated reasonably well to protect the financial investors versus those who are in active management.
I'm sorry, I know there are many questions we can take with them offline. They're just right here. We have interesting more sessions coming up over here, but thank you once again, both of you. It was a super session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Something really we all look forward to. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our esteemed panelists, and thank you, Dhaval Ajmera, for moderating this. Ladies and gentlemen, Reloy is our innovation partner at Credai Natcon 2023. May I please invite on stage Mr. Akhil Saraf from Reloi for his video presentation. And of course, I request you all to settle down, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Mr. Akhil Saraf from Reloi, who's now going to unfold his video presentation. Please do pay attention. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning, everyone. We have a short video that we've prepared. Can we have the video, please?
This is India, home to 1.4 billion Indians. With an ever-growing community, we soon need 1 billion homes. We at Reloi are changing the way people look at real estate and making it more homeowner-centric and bringing all the stakeholders together with an Android-like operating system tailored to help you manage your homeowners and channel partners on one platform across channel. With Connector, we help builders acquire, engage, and retain homeowners and generate more referrals, the quickest, most cost-efficient, and dependable way to sell real estate. With Winner, we help you pamper, motivate, and reward your channel partners to ease their selling experience with personalized sales kits, team training, lead tracking, brokerage calculator, incentives, and much more. All of this conducted in an ecosystem of total transparency and end-to-end data security. Our products are seamlessly integrated with your CRM tools like Salesforce, PowerVision, SAP, Zoho, and everyone else. To top it all, we are neither a builder, buyer, broker, or a bank. We are your BT, helping you fulfill Indian dreams and aspirations. With 30 plus clients across India, 1,000 plus crores in referral sales, and 22,000 plus channel partner network, Reloi is building a nationwide partnership with builders who care.
Hi, good evening, good morning, everyone. So last year we did 1,000 crores of referral sales, right? H1 of this year we've done 1,000 crores of referral sales. This represents homeowners' love for real estate. This is love for builders. Enough is said about the big bad builder, but this is a real measure of love for real estate builders in India today. We are building the Android of real estate, and where we help builders manage their customers and their brokers better. For customers, we create loyalty programs. So just like there's Marriott Bonvoy, there's Club Vistara, Amazon Prime, we run programs like Godrej Ambassador, Embassy Priority, Kolte Patil Nest, all to take care of the customer from booking to handover, right? And we take care of everything from technology, deals, discounts, brand alliances, to make your customer feel that extra special, all to generate referral sales. For brokers, we have a platform called Winner, where we streamline the entire process from enrollment, where brokers can get empaneled by signing using Aadhaar. They can get personalized sales kits. So Facebook ads, email marketing, brochures, everything is customized with their own phone number, their own website, their own email ID at the click of a button, right? Imagine how easy it is to sell for you. We go further, right? Like we actually help them get real-time customer tracking as to what's happening with their leads, when they get paid, and then further gamify this entire payout process. The idea over here is to make life so simple for brokers that they want to sell for you. Both our platforms are available as an app, as a chatbot, as a website, so your manpower cost goes down. The idea over here, and all of this is now tied together with our new, just start? Yeah. Thank you. Right. All of this is connected with an AI communication suite where we optimize for channel and channel and time. So if your customers see WhatsApps at 6 p.m. and your emails at 10 a.m., that's when we get that message delivered to them. We are backed by India's largest housing bank, who's also one of the sponsors of this event. And we invite you to come meet us and build the next generation of housing with us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your presentation. Moving straight into the next session, and one last time, if you all would settle down and just gives a better ambience for the speakers who are stepping up. This next session is all about expanding your horizons. You know, ladies and gentlemen, all of us, we live under the same sky, but each one of us as individuals, we have different horizons. That is because your horizon is directly proportional to the magnitude of your courage. So all we need to do is switch on the light inside, expand our horizon, and realize our full potential as a human. Every morning is a new opportunity to expand our horizons. For this session, we have on stage leaders who've done this very thing. They've expanded their horizons, realized their full potentials, and alongside have built the industry that they are a part of. So please put your hands together as I welcome them on stage. I'm delighted to welcome Mr. Irfan Razak, Chairman and Managing Director, Prestige Group. Yeah. He's been the driving force of his organization, having made it one of India's premier real estate firms. His career boasts of more than 48 years of experience, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely fantastic. His influence extends beyond Prestige, as he has served as president of the Bengaluru Commercial Association and Credai for 5 years, and has also chaired Credai National. Namaskar, बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है आपका. आइए प्लीज बहुत सारी प्यार भरी तालियां हो जाए श्री इरफान रज़ाक जी के लिए. I'd also like to welcome on stage Chairman Credai, Manoj Gaur, ladies and gentlemen. Managing Director, Gaur's Group, Credai NCR Chair, Housing and Urban Development Committee, PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, UP Chapter. He is a part of this very important session, and moderating this session is Anshul Jain, the Managing Director, India and Southeast Asia, Cushman and Wakefield. To say thank you to Irfan Razak ji, may I please invite on stage Ronak Patel from Team Credai, Gujarat. And to felicitate Anshul Jain, may I please invite on stage Tushar Lakhani from Team Credai, Gujarat. And Ronak Patel felicitating Irfan Razak ji. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आप समय निकाला आज यहाँ आए हैं. इस पैनल में आपकी उपस्थिति हमें मिली है. Gems of wisdom from both Manoj Gaur ji and Irfan Razak ji, and Anshul Jain moderating this session, expanding your horizons. Here it comes.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome, sirs Irfan ji and Manoj ji. So I was talking to a couple of friends from the developer community yesterday, and saying कि ये star-studded panel है, and of course, every time you are moderating or interviewing a panel which is star-studded, there's always a little bit of nervousness. कि, how will that go? But also equally, The good news is I don't have to talk that much because there's so much wisdom that you share. But एक बात किसी ने कही कि आपके पास कल अमिताभ बच्चन और शाहरुख खान होंगे, तो जब अमिताभ बच्चन और शाहरुख खान है तो आपको कुछ करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So that is the mood with which you come. So what I'll do is really get started, and I'll also just maybe for the audience, because it's your time, an opportunity to ask questions. So I'll set off with a few questions, and then hopefully we'll have questions from the audience, because I think there's a lot to learn from both your journeys, in real estate. So I'll start with Irfanji maybe. And when you started in real estate business, Bangalore was a sleepy town. It was considered to be a retirement home. So just wanted to, the audience to know what was your journey when you started initially. What was your thought process? How did you actually get into real estate? And did you ever think that Bangalore will be what it is today? And your position and prestigious position in Bangalore. So, maybe a little bit about your journey. That would be wonderful to hear.
Thanks, Anshul. This story has been told many a time. Yes, Bangalore was a sleepy town. In fact, before coming to the story, I'm sitting here listening to all the youngsters now, the last couple of days, about the new technologies, fractional ownership, AI, and so many things that are happening, and I see a lot more new energy. I was sitting there at the back, I was feeling a little ancient. But having said that, yes, the journey has been spectacular. Nobody ever plans it that way, but things happen. Now, how do things happen is you have to have some sort of a passion for what you're doing. When we started, Bangalore was small. There was hardly anybody there, and in case you did a development of say 50 units, it used to be a big thing on who's the buyer. It had to be either somebody who's retired and got their gratuity and some funds that they bought, or somebody who sold some property either in a Mumbai, Delhi and wanted to resettle into Bangalore, so they had the money, or it had to be some NRI client. From then to now, how the markets have expanded, they just boomed. It's something unimaginable, and today I say the sky is the limit. Why do I say that is because yesterday we heard urbanization of India is going to be much more. It's actually less. Now we are going to hit 50-60% urbanization. Our population is young, it's aspirational. The type of jobs that have been created is just amazing. And then post-COVID, there's one realization that's happened is somebody wants to buy a home, at least one asset for themselves. So with all this, whatever work that we are doing, whatever business that we are doing, according to me, it's only the tip of the iceberg. If you do it well, if you do it properly, do it ethically, sky is the limit. And we definitely at some inflection point where you'll get some huge growth. But the only thing is we need to know how to balance our need with our greed, how to do things ethically and properly. I think there's no stopping. The only way you can succeed is in delivery. That's how we have succeeded. We keep delivering again and again. Customer confidence develops. And once that happens, your next project and the next project become that much more easier.
Yes, absolutely. I think customer confidence is something you build up both as with the sort of consumers and with enterprises, because you ride on both ends. But just coming to Manoj for a minute, your journey, sir, your company had a very different strategy. You concentrated on Western UP, pretty much looked at large townships. जो आज है success, yes, शुरुआत कहाँ हुई? How did you start and how did you end up here?
Thank you very much. I think everybody wants to listen more and more. In fact, he is our hero. We always follow him. And as far as my is concerned, my journey started way back in 1995 with zero capital, no background, My father was in railways for 28 years. And at that time, we built this Godson's company and started with a very small project of 6 flats. But starting से एक काम था कि प्रोजेक्ट्स जो है अभी जैसे फ्रैक्शन ओनरशिप की बात हुई तो हमारे कस्टमर हर एक प्रोजेक्ट में इवन टुडे ऑल्सो जो है दे आर माई फ्रैक्शनल ओनर, दे आर माई इन्वेस्टर्स एंड इन एवरी प्रोजेक्ट वेयर दे अर्न वी अर्न एंड वी अर्न लॉट ऑफ प्रॉफिट एंड मैंने पहले भी बहुत बोला है दैट प्रॉफिट इज नॉट मनी, प्रॉफिट इज नॉट ऑलवेज मनी. The project completion, time completion of the project is also a profit. Your reputation is also a profit. Your confidence, your customer's confidence is also profit. Your financial discipline is also a profit. Your banks का जो आपके ऊपर confidence है, वो भी एक profit है. So in that way we earn a lot of profit and still we are following that. And from last 27-28 years, all projects are completed on time, no matter what the conditions, whether it's pandemic, whether it's a sine wave, whether it's global recession, but we never stop. Then the main thing is one, discipline in the construction, always adopting the new technology, new way, and what customers need. We are very flexible. As the market need, we change ourselves. किसी प्रोजेक्ट में अगर हाई राइज की ज़रूरत है, हाई राइज को स्टार्ट किया, मार्केट अडॉप्ट नहीं कर रही, इमीडिएटली कन्वर्टेड टू फ्लैटेड डेवलपमेंट. कभी 2 बेडरूम करके स्टार्ट किया, मार्केट का रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं किया, कन्वर्टेड टू 1 बेडरूम और 3 बेडरूम एंड वाइस वर्सा. तो ऑलवेज फ्लेक्सिबल एंड व्हाट पीपल वांट. कई बार मैंने देखा है बहुत सारे लोग जो हैं पैशनेट होते हैं खुद कि वो इजिप्ट आ रहे हैं, लंदन जा रहे हैं, वहाँ पे इतनी अच्छी बिल्डिंग बन रही है और उसी को अडॉप्ट करना शुरू कर देते हैं. इट्स गुड कि आप अच्छी बिल्डिंग बनाएं, बट लोगों को क्या चाहिए, किस एरिया में आप ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं, व्हाट इज़ देयर रिक्वायरमेंट, टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. एंड वो एक फिलॉसफी आज तक रही, द सेल्स इज़ नंबर 1, बिकॉज द कैश फ्लो ऑलवेज जो है मेनटेन करें. अनटिल अनलेस आपके पास बहुत बड़ी कैपिटल नहीं है, रजाक भाई की तरह जो है इरफान भाई की तरह, तो आपको ये डिसिप्लिन बहुत मेंटेन करना है. एंड नेवर फॉल इन लव विद लैंड. मैंने बहुत सारे डेवलपर्स को फेल होते हुए देखा है क्योंकि उन्होंने बहुत बड़ा लैंड बैंक बना लिया और लैंड से ज़्यादातर डेवलपर्स को हमें प्यार हो जाता है. तो फॉर अस लैंड इज़ ऑलवेज ए रॉ मटेरियल. जो लैंड लिया, जो प्रोजेक्ट लिया, उसको कंप्लीट किया. तो इनफैक्ट आफ्टर 28 ईयर्स हार्डली एनी लैंड बैंक विद अस. तो यू मे से आज इवन आफ्टर द सो मच ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स we are here because we have completed all the project. जो भी उसके लिए करना पड़ा, difficulties भी बहुत आई, but you can say sales, financial discipline and customer confidence.
Very good. So 2 very, very successful enterprises here. So 2 very successful enterprises here with 2 very different strategies, as I can see it at least. So, while Prestige has focused very heavily into premium, and multiple asset classes, so whether it's hotels, retail, offices, residential, and perhaps others as well. Irfanji, you've continuously pushed the quality and the luxury element in country across all asset classes. So, where did you, how did you sort of, but why was that, right? Because ultimately India is about sort of mass market. It's about, that's where Manoj ji played really well with larger this thing. Why this focus on luxury, and how did you think that we want to push that quality up to that stage where we can make India proud today with the kind of buildings that you are delivering at this point in time?
Just to put it on record what Manoj said, one is, I didn't start with any big capital. I started as much as maybe less than what he did. We started with a capital of only 40,000, way back in 1985. So it has to grow. Yeah. And the only way it grows is by having confidence of the people and by delivery. And I've always said this, not today, and this is the same thing he's repeated. I think that's the reason for his success also, that profit should not be the motivation. It should be the passion that you work for. So even in fact, in my organization, I tell all my associates, employees, if you're just working for the money, this is not the place. If you're working for the passion for achieving something, be there. Money also will come, it will follow.
Bilkul.
It's not that you have to be hungry, but if it depends on what is the focus. Coming back to the different products. Yes, we started our business with Office. I thought that was a pretty relatively clean, nice built asset class to do. So we used to, initially started with the intent of building and renting, but then somewhere down the line, it became building, selling and renting. And today I was having a class on fractional ownership. We've done that. I've got some 5,000 customers with me who are strata sold, whose asset, whose money I manage. We sell to them. We lease it back from them and then pay them lease rent, and then we lease it to it's called a lease sublease model. It's an unstructured REIT, so all the other regulatory stuff is also taken care of. And customers are happy. So now it becomes very stressful handling so many customers. So at some point of time, we had to stop it. So we started with Office. Residential, I thought that was a very difficult business to do because residential customers always demanding. But today, by God's grace, I think yesterday our results were announced quarterly. And we have done 11,000 crores in 6 months.
Yep.
So, which
almost as much as last year. That this 11,000 crores is almost as much as whole of last year.
Yeah, almost
yes.
as
Fantastic.
much as last year.
Fantastic.
We were trying to hit as much as last year, but it didn't happen because 2 projects didn't get their ERA. It'll happen. But the thing is, see, you have to, it's not that, you have to have that focus. And you have to believe in what you're doing, and like I said, the business will happen. It's only that the customer confidence that has to come in. Now, how did we get into retail? We are actually retailers from background. I always had this fascination of building a mall. I did India's first mall, properly designed and completed it and opened it in February of 2004. Now, in the last 20 years, there's a retail revolution in the country. The amount of malls that India has seen is quite amazing. And I believe that in that overall scenario of development, what we have done is probably pretty small. But whatever we are doing, we're trying to do our best and do the best of the developments. And then, of course, with retail, we also, like I talked about Office, now we went into hospitality because there was a need. We're doing an integrated development. So it needed hospitality, needed retail, needed residential and Office. So it all came together. But one led to the other, and today we've got a fairly large rooms in hospitality. I think maybe we would compare along with the old hospitality giants that are there in the country. And the thing, it's happening. So, but whatever we do, the whole idea was to do it properly. Yes, there is requirement of capital. I always say that in residential, like Manoj said, sell. Get your money. Don't hold. Don't do land banking. Don't get greedy. So the cash flow keeps coming. So where do you really need the capital is for all the assets which you're holding. Another thing that I learned long back in my life was we did one beautiful retail development, sold it strata. Within a couple of years, it was finished. So then we learned that it has to be you have to own it and manage it. So that's how we did that the first time, and then it became one story, and then 2 years ago, we packaged 8 of our malls and sold it to Blackstone, and now we're building another 8 or 10, and we'll have that much more square footage than what we sold to them within the next 3 to 5 years.
Irfanji, how do you actually make sure that the quality is delivered? Because luxury, of course, India now understands luxury and things are happening, but when you started, that understanding of luxury was perhaps not there. therefore delivery of quality, and I'll come to you, Manoj, as well on quality delivery, because it's a very different segment where you have to deliver quality. But Irfanji, how did you actually deliver that, ensure that your organization delivers that quality in luxury? That I think is one of the most difficult things one has to do in execution.
I do agree it's very tough, but quality has to become a habit.
Yeah.
And it has to have a habit, it has to percolate down the organization. If you demand something, you get it. If you get up in the morning and you want your wife to make some good dosas for you, you have to demand for it. Otherwise, you don't get it. So, same way, you demand for that quality within your organization, you make it a point. See, there's another thing that we do religiously, both my brother and I, and of course now the next generation also. We visit our sites. We just don't leave it to our people. So that's again a habit. Every week, twice a week, we are on some site or the other, not only in Bangalore now, in any other city that we work in. What does it do? It keeps the contractors alert, it keeps your own staff alert, it keeps all the stakeholders who are there. And once you go, it becomes like magic when they know that's announced, the program is announced when you're coming and visiting. So that particular day, housekeeping, everything is all fabulous. So it is a psychological thing. Another thing that we did, which we learned, I don't know whether anybody in this country does it. When we complete a project with a huge fanfare, we have an inauguration function. That's a trick that I learned. What happens is once there's a function, like you have a function at home, the house gets cleaned up, everything happens. Same way, all the debris, all the entire housekeeping, the entire place gets shined up. So, that's one effort that happens, and you keep a deadline. That means your project gets completed, your customer's happy, the entire debris goes out, otherwise it will never go out. So that is a trick. It's a lot of effort that happens, but it works. It has worked for us. And even in large developments, it's working beautifully. Of course, in every residential development, there will be some chap who will be negative. And we can't give up on that. There'll be somebody who will be troubling you, somebody who will be a naysayer. Recently, I inaugurated a project of 3,500 homes. In that, there was one small group of 4, 5, 10, they said, we'll come and disrupt the function, we'll create. I said, come, you do what you want. I am definitely going through with the function. And then I told them a story in that function. That same story, if you wish, if I'm not talking too much, I can say that.
Please. Yeah.
So, that day, everybody was nervous. Will they come and embarrass us? Will they trouble us? Because according to me, that project was brilliant. Finished on time, shined up very nicely. There were some silly things about when are you getting me the water, I need you to build a bridge, and all those absolutely stupid stuff. But we negated them. We had that function, and I said, make the best biryani, man. So that particular day, there were 7,000 people who ate. And whoever were non-vegetarian, we had a separate section for them. I said, that time, even get some fellows with drums, this, that, make a big tamasha, and do it with fanfare. Now, in that story, I'll tell you. So I told them one story. They were all very dumbstruck and very sheepish after that. I said, listen, there was this elderly gentleman sitting in at some edge at a pond, and he saw one cat, and that cat he saw was drowning and was struggling and every time jumping up to save herself. This elderly gentleman gave out the hand to the cat so that the cat holds his hand and jumps out. But every time he gave the hand, what did the cat do is scratched him. And this fellow pulled his hand back in pain. But few minutes later, again he gave back his hand and this cat again scratched him. He kept on doing it. There was a youngster who was watching this. He said, "Uncle, don't you realize that this cat doesn't want to be saved? Why are you keeping on giving your hand?" That old man was quiet. After several attempts, maybe half a dozen attempts, that cat actually went on to that hand and jumped out and saved herself. After that, the uncle said, "You know, my young boy, you see, my job is, my nature is to save that cat. but the cat's nature is to scratch me. So our job is to build houses, and it's the nature of the customers to keep scratching us. So that was the story I told them that day, and they all kept quiet after that.
Very good, fantastic. Manoj, you have gone into a very different strategy and very successful one as well. We're building massive integrated townships. Or again, India mein execution of these townships, it takes a lifetime, decade, right? But you actually took a very big challenge, not phased at all with it, and said ki isko banana hai. And you've now done multiple of those. You're closely associated with Housing for All mid. So, pehli bari when you took up this challenge, which is a massive challenge by any stage, what was your kind of vision? What was your thinking? And how do you actually then again maintain the quality in a much harder segment?
No, delivering a large size project or large volume is definitely difficult, and more difficult when you are doing affordable housing. We used to sell flat around 3,000, 4,000 rupees square feet, which include everything, including the land. In that case, it is more challenging and time bound also. You have to deliver within 2 years, 3 years. At that time, we took a conscious decision to adopt the international technology. We adopt the aluminum foam work. Although we changed a lot of change it and to make it Indianized, and we invested more than 150 crore rupees in shuttering only. And that gives a lot of time saving, or you can say the quality. In that engineers की जो भी mistakes थी वो वहाँ पर possible नहीं थी, क्योंकि aluminum foam work until unless all the pieces are in there, you can't pour the concrete. And the timing. And since we have a volume, the capital invested initially is automatically recovered within 2-3 years. We have delivered more than 5 crore square feet from that technology. I think that gives us a lot of confidence कि उसको हम timely जो है वो convert करने जाए. एक sales के ऊपर जो है एक strategy हमने भी करी, और that is very successful. I have shared many times. In 2017-18 is almost flat sale in entire India. Nothing is selling, and बहुत सारी मीटिंग्स हमारी डेवलपर्स में भी होती थी. अब सब कहते हैं भाई हम इतना अच्छा प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हैं और लोग ही नहीं खरीदना चाह रहे. एट दैट टाइम हमने एक स्ट्रेटजी चेंज करी. सब ठीक है, उस टाइम बहुत ही मॉडरेट सेल हो रही थी जो है, और थैंक्स टू IIM, उस टाइम IIM में मैंने एक कोर्स भी किया था कि we just identify all the stakeholder. One is the customer, one is the consultant, sales consultant, and third is the banker, and fourth is us. ये चार लोगों को हमने identify किया. What customer need? At that time the confidence is very low. Nobody is कोई confidence builders के ऊपर नहीं था. Especially in North NCR सबकी reputation बहुत ज़्यादा खराब थी, क्योंकि many large projects वो फेल हो गए थे जो है. तो उनका कॉन्फिडेंस को कैसे बूस्टअप किया जाए. एट दैट टाइम वी हैव डिलीवर मोर देन 8,000 हाउसेज. उसमें से बहुत सारे 20-25% लोगों ने ऑक्यूपाई नहीं किया था बिकॉज इन्वेस्टर थे. तो हमने उनसे वो रेंट पे वापस लिए. वी रेंटेड आउट दैट, अपने कंपनी में हमने वापस लिए. देन वी स्टार्ट कैंपेनिंग कि आप अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर रेडी टू मूव इन, आपको फ्लैट हम दे रहे हैं. जो वो फ्लैट हमने रेंट पे लिए थे आप उसमें जाके शिफ्ट हो जाइए, और अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन प्रोजेक्ट में जब तक आपका प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट ना हो जाए तो आप इसको खाली नहीं करें. तो दैट गिव्स अ कॉन्फिडेंस कि मेरा प्रोजेक्ट टाइमली बन जाएगा, क्योंकि टाइमली कंस्ट्रक्शन उस टाइम एक बड़ा. देन द प्राइस, ऑफ कोर्स वी हिट बाय अराउंड 500 crore rupees in a single day, because we have to sell more than 7,500 flats. 5,000 अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन, 2,500 स्टिल जिनका अप्रूवल आ गया था, जिनको स्टार्ट करना था. तो एक ही दिन के अंदर हमने उसको चेंज किया. देन वी चेंज द पेमेंट सिस्टम. यूजुअली द फर्स्ट पेमेंट गोज टू बैंक, देन सेकंड पेमेंट गोज टू लेबर पेमेंट, सैलरीज, देन थर्ड पेमेंट टू मटेरियल, एंड लास्ट में सबसे ज़्यादा जो हमारे सेल्स कंसल्टेंट होते थे, प्रॉपर्टी डीलर से, उनकी पेमेंट होती थी. देन वी चेंज दिस साइकिल. ऑन टॉप फर्स्ट पेमेंट गोज टू द कंसल्टेंट्स, रियल एस्टेट कंसल्टेंट डीलर्स जो है, उससे एकदम एंटायरली उनके अंदर जो जो चेंज आया, मतलब इवन रात के 4-4 बजे तक ऑफिसेज ओपन हुए, एक दिन के अंदर 2-2 हज़ार यूनिट्स जो है उसमें सेल किए जो है, तो वहाँ से वो चीज़, और एक बार सोल्ड रिसीवेबल्स आ गए तो बैंक्स का भी कॉन्फिडेंस जो है, यस, देन बैंक कॉन्फिडेंस भी वापस आ गया. इन दैट पर्टिकुलर ईयर इन 2018 we sold more than 5,000 crore rupees of property, and the number of 10,000 properties in single calendar year. So that gives lot of confidence. और उधर वहाँ पे survive करने से आज हम यहाँ पर जो है बैठे हैं. When you are doing a large size of project, it is essential कि आप अपना जो financial discipline and time, और जो टाइम था हमारा, जो कंस्ट्रक्शन का जो डिलीवरी टाइम था, उसको भी हमने 1.5 से 2 साल रिड्यूस किया. तो सेल्स के अंदर जो इनोवेशन एंड टेक्नोलॉजी के अंदर, तो वी आर स्टिल अडॉप्टिंग न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी. रिसेंटली वी कंप्लीटेड 1 million square feet थ्रू स्टील स्ट्रक्चर, वेयर द कॉस्ट इज अराउंड 10-15% is extra, but the timing is great timing. Within 18 months, including the COVID time, we have delivered that project. So constantly change yourself, constantly upgrade yourself. What is the need of your city, what is the need of your company, and क्या प्रॉब्लम्स है उसको आइडेंटिफाई करके उसको एड्रेस करना. और कई बार हमने देखा कि प्रॉब्लम सबसे बड़ी हम खुद होते हैं, तो वी नीड टू चेंज अवरसेल्फ. कभी कंपनी में जो है तो हमने अपने आप को भी चेंज किया. मैंने लॉट ऑफ चेंज इन माई सेल्फ, स्पेशली आफ्टर द IIM कोर्स जो है. तो उन्होंने मेरे को एक टेस्ट भी लिया और ये बताया कि जो 20 साल से आपने किया और जिसकी वजह से कंपनी ने ग्रो किया, लेट द कंपनी वर्क, नाउ यू स्टेप बैक. तो हमने भी मैनेजमेंट में चेंज किया, अपने आप को चेंज किया, एडवाइस देना कम किया, लेट द पीपल वर्क. उनको ज़्यादा नहीं तो अर्लियर यूज टू, मेरे ऑफिस में कोई आता था, जब तक वो मेन गेट से मेरी टेबल तक पहुंचता था तब तक मैं उससे प्रॉब्लम पूछ के उसका सॉल्यूशन दे देता था. नाउ आई चेंज माई सेल्फ, जब वो आता है उससे पूछते हैं प्रॉब्लम, एंड बिलीव मी 80% टाइम उनके पास सोल्यूशन भी होता है. तो मैंने उसको जो है कम किया, उससे जो है काफ़ी चेंजेस जो है कंपनी के अंदर आए. एंड इरफान भाई की वो कहानी बहुत ही ठीक है कि भाई कस्टमर का जो भी बिहेवियर है उससे हमें अपनी स्ट्रेटजी को कभी भी चेंज नहीं करना चाहिए. ऑलवेज 10-20% होते हैं. मारुति कार खरीदी है और फैसिलिटी उनको मर्सिडीज की चाहिए, तो वो होता ही है. तो बट वी आर स्टिल ट्राइंग कि कैसे उस मारुति कार में मर्सिडीज नहीं तो जो है होंडा सिटी की जो है फैसिलिटी दे सकें, एंड इम्प्रूविंग आवर सेल्फ, constantly जो है improving ourselves. This is the only thing.
Very good, fantastic. So there's a lot of learning from failures. So is there any one of you would like to recount any project or any instance where you learned from your failures that you'd like to share with the audience, for both of you? शायद रहे नहीं है फेलियर्स. तो
चैलेंजेस तो आते ही रहते हैं. यू हैव टू फेस इट. इफ देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम यू हैव टू फेस इट. कभी अगर आप कोई भी प्रॉब्लम को अगर फेस करते हैं तो 70-80% तो प्रॉब्लम जो है वो सॉल्व हो जाती है. एक कोट बहुत पुराना कभी चल रहा था कि मैं डिसीजन लेने से पहले तो नहीं सोचता, हाँ डिसीजन लेने के बाद उसको करेक्ट करने में जो है अपनी सारी मेहनत और अपनी सारी चीज़ें लगा देता हूँ. तो डिसीजन लेते वक्त आपको ये नहीं पता होता कि वो डिसीजन का अल्टीमेट जो है रिजल्ट क्या होगा. हमने एक शेयर करता हूँ कि मेरे 250 एकड़ की टाउनशिप एक हमने ली, जो लोग नॉर्थ से हैं वो जानते हैं, यमुना एक्सप्रेसवे के ऊपर. एट दैट टाइम द रियल एस्टेट इज हाई लाइक दिस टाइम, बहुत हाई था उस टाइम जो है. तो वी टुक ए डिसीजन, दो इट इज़ वेरी फार अवे फ्रॉम द मेन सेंटर जो है. और जब स्टार्ट किया तो फर्स्ट 2 वीक्स के अंदर around 2200 flats sold out of 2500, 2200 sold out. And we say wow, what is this? Then we planned 20,000 homes कि अब इसमें 20,000 मकान बनाएंगे. Suddenly, after 2013-14, 13 में हमने project conceive किया था, then 14-15, gradually real estate जो है वो नीचे जाने लगा और sales almost जो है वो खत्म हो। उसके बाद then immediately, जैसे मैंने पहले भी बोला, मैंने immediately वो सारे उसको change करके we converted the rest of the land into the plots. उसके बाद भी sale नहीं हुआ, then we tied up with a company in Middle East. उसके बाद हमने उसको डॉलर्स और दिराम के अंदर जो है इन्वेस्टमेंट के 50,000 दिराम्स और $50,000 के अंदर इन्वेस्टमेंट वी आर एबल टू सोल्ड मोर देन 500 करोड़ ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी इन मिडिल ईस्ट, जब इंडिया के अंदर सेल नहीं हो रही थी। लेकिन कभी भी उस प्रोजेक्ट को रुकने नहीं दिया, कंप्लीट किया और आज की डेट में जो प्लॉट्स हमने जो है 20,000 रुपये में लोगों को बुला के सेल कर रहे थे, आज वो मोर देन 1 लाख रुपीज़ जो है वहाँ पे सेल हो रहा है। तो दैट प्रोजेक्ट इज़ कम्प्लीटली हैंड ओवर एंड सोल्ड आउट। तो चैलेंजेस तो हमेशा आते हैं आपकी लाइफ में, बस आप उसे कैसे फेस करते हो, दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट।
Fantastic, Irfanji. Any example from you?
Yeah, no, there's no such thing as a dream run. You'll always have problems. How you overcome the problems, how you confront the problems, how you face the problems is what makes you stronger. Like Manoj ji in his same thing we all face. We plan something else happens. But one thing I have seen as experience, whichever project you have started, come what may, tighten your belt, go to the end, complete it. Complete it and complete it in style. That product will, if it doesn't sell today, it will sell tomorrow, and once completed, it is 100% sure to be sold. It's only, and then you get better pricing also. So sometimes what really happens is when you launch, you sell just say out of 100, you sell 5 units, and then you start getting very nervous. And then either you slow down your construction or you start changing tack. I believe that you have to have confidence in yourself and say, listen, I'm going through the whole distance. Moment you go through the whole distance, this has happened to us repeatedly, again and again. And I said, there's no dream run. Yes, you have, sometimes everything is easy, sometimes the simplest things also are difficult, but try and, as far as possible, if you've started something, find the resources, do whatever, use innovative methods to see that you get your liquidity, but complete your project. Moment your project is completed, and then another say, when I say complete, don't dilute it. Do it better. 100% it will sell, 100% it will get you money, and it will get you recognition also.
Thank you. So, I think we've talked a lot about funding, so I want to, maybe touch on that a little bit. So, as Cushman Wakefield, we work with a lot of developers, helping them raise sometimes debt, sometimes equity, sometimes joint venture partners, joint development agreements, etc. And ye journey, what we have seen with developers is, as they're maturing, it's very confusing in everyone's head. कि outright खरीदें या joint venture लें किसी के साथ, partner कैसे choose करें, foreign partner होना चाहिए, domestic partner होना चाहिए, पैसा किससे लेना चाहिए, debt लेना चाहिए, नहीं लेना चाहिए, कुछ लोग ज़्यादा debt ले लेते हैं, उनको land में लगा देते हैं, etc. I'm sure both of you have gone through those trials and tribulations. Maybe some word of advice for the audience around it, maybe. Manoj, yeah, Irfanji, please.
See, now, our business is the most capital intensive. You definitely need capital. But see, now we innovated this joint development. I think I'm the first one in the early 80s who developed, even the lawyers didn't know how to make a joint development agreement those days. We invented it. What happened is the land belonged to the landowner. And at that time I started with the office only because I told the landowner, I say, what are you going to, if you monetize your land, if you sell it, what will you do with the money? Half of it will go off in taxes. The balance will disappear. Keep your asset. I'll give you so much percentage of built up area. And then you rent it out, you have your cake and you're eating it too. We started with a joint development model. So basically there, what you needed is capital only to do the construction. You did not have to have money for the land part. As you get into residential today, yes, most of it is pre-sold, so you keep churning your money. But then there's always this balance that needs to happen. How much of equity, how much of debt, and where does the equity come from? Today, as not like in the past, there was hardly any people who could fund you. Today, there's a line of people who are willing to give money, and they're willing to give money to everybody here. It all depends on how credible you are, how good your project is. I would say, if you're getting equity, go for it. Better than debt. Because equity is something that, and don't do the structured equity sometimes. I don't know, Vipul is here, or his team is here. You know, you have this structured equity where again you have a fixed return, and then after that it's yours. Okay, it all depends on how you look at things. But the thing is, if it's equity, that much more, that discomfort that if everything goes right, yes, your partner also makes money, you make money. If something doesn't go right, both are on the losing end. But debt is something that once you take debt, you have to repay it. Gone are the days that, okay, I'll take this debt and phir dekha jayega. There's no question of dekha jayega. Basically, you'll get into all sorts of trouble. And I've seen many people getting into trouble, and then it just means the end, and then you lose confidence. So, yes, we also do take debt, but it has to be judicious. And the moment you take that debt, you also have to have an eye on it. You have to have the wherewithal to service that debt, because it's a month-to-month service. So it's a balance. It depends on you monetize certain times by way of selling some assets, or you go in for some private equity where it is much better, cheaper in the sense, though on the face of it looks expensive. But debt is the last thing that I would go in for. And if it has to be there, so be it. But let's be in that position how we can service that debt. Otherwise, it will come to bite you.
Sorry.
As Irfan said, the partnership is a very risky business. It's just like a marriage. You are doing a partnership with someone. If something wrong on, and many projects and many developers मैं जानता हूँ जिनकी projects जो है problem में आए just because of the wrong partnership. तो चाहे 2 project कम कर लें, अगर partnership को avoid कर सके, that is better. And secondly, जैसे हमने अपने केस में किया, कभी भी डेट लेके लैंड को परचेज नहीं किया, लैंड को मतलब एज एसेट के उसको उस पर प्रोजेक्ट नहीं किया, जो लैंड ली उसको जो है प्रोजेक्ट कंसीव किया, इमीडिएटली जो कंस्ट्रक्शन फाइनेंस लिया एंड टाइमली रिटर्न उसको जो कर दिया. तो कभी भी जो लैंड बैंक जो बनाना है वो डेट के पैसे से जो है वो नहीं बनाना चाहिए. मैनी प्लेयर्स जिनके प्रोजेक्ट सब कुछ ठीक था, दे फेल्ड ड्यू टू दिस ओनली कि लैंड बढ़ जाएगी, उसके अंदर पैसे बढ़ जाएंगे. तो उससे जो है अवॉइड करना चाहिए. जैसे मैं अर्लियर सेड के लैंड इज़ अ रॉ मटेरियल फॉर अस. ट्रेडिशनली आपके पास कोई लैंड आ रही है, दैट इज़ ओके. कई बार हमें भी लगता था अगर ये लैंड हमने होल्ड कर ली होती तो 4 टाइम्स 5 टाइम्स हो जाती है, बट उसके अंदर प्रोजेक्ट करके आप निकल रहे हैं तो आपकी टर्नओवर, आपकी बैलेंस शीट, आपका एक्सपीरियंस वो ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है. तो डेट को सोच समझ के, पार्टनरशिप बहुत ही सोच समझ के जो है करनी चाहिए. नाउ जिस तरह से मार्केट अब इम्प्रूव हो रही है, इट्स बेटर कि आप कैपिटल रेज करें थ्रू द फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूट और जो ऑर्गेनाइज प्लेयर है. मैंने बहुत बार प्रोजेक्ट फेल होते हुए देखे हैं जहाँ पे वो अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर से जो है प्रोजेक्ट्स में फंडिंग हुई है और बाद में वो प्रोजेक्ट्स जो है प्रॉपर्ली टेकअप नहीं है. तो फाइनेंशियल मैनेजमेंट इज़ वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट aspect in our business. There is a capital, lot of capital is required in our business. तो उस फ्रंट के ऊपर जो है बहुत कॉन्शियसली जो है डिसीजन जो है वो लेना चाहिए.
And again, I'll come back to maybe the two company strategies as well, right? So आपकी strategy has been very concentrated geographically to Western UP. While Irfan ji, you've now ventured as in you were started with Bangalore and now you ventured as a national player. So maybe first to you, why have you and is there any thought or in your vision to kind of move into wider India, the tier 2 cities, because you are a lot more into mid-segment homes, etc.?
Real estate is a very difficult business. इंडिया में एवरी 20 किलोमीटर्स के अंदर पानी चेंज हो जाता है, भाषा चेंज हो जाती है, इससे रियल एस्टेट भी चेंज हो जाता है. तो रियल एस्टेट और स्पेशली वंस वी आर इनटू द रेजिडेंशियल पोर्टफोलियो मैक्सिमम जो है आउट ऑफ 27 ईयर्स 20-25 ईयर्स प्योरली रेजिडेंशियल किया. Every government has a different rules, regulation, everywhere the land rules are different. And जो जहाँ पर हम काम कर रहे थे वहाँ पर भी डिमांड, huge demand, still the huge demand. तो the volume we required, the demand we required वो उसी जगह से पूरी हो रही थी. तो बहुत जगह पूरी इंडिया के अंदर जो है पैन इंडिया के अंदर जो है करना, इवन एक स्टेट के अंदर जो है डिफरेंट अथॉरिटीज़ हैव डिफरेंट रूल्स. तो उसको देखते हुए प्लस एक जगह जो जितनी चीज़ें हमें चाहिए थी, जितना वॉल्यूम चाहिए था, जितनी सेल्स चाहिए थी, वो स्टिल वी आर गेटिंग. एंड आप प्रोजेक्ट पे जा रहे हैं, काम कर रहे हैं और काम आके वापस अपनी फैमिली के पास सेम डे वापस पहुंच रहे हैं. आई थिंक ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा वो रहा कि सारी जगह आप भागते रहे. मैं बहुत सारे फ्रेंड्स ऐसे देखते हैं जो मल्टीपल लोकेशंस में काम कर रहे हैं, उनकी ट्रैवलिंग महीने में मुश्किल 15 से 20 दिन तक ट्रैवलिंग होती है. तो दैट इज़ ऑल्सो वन रीज़न आई डोंट वांट टू ट्रैवल लॉट ऑफ फॉर द वर्क. तो और आज की डेट में भी वॉल्यूम अभी स्टिल ड्यू टू द नेशनल कैपिटल रीजन प्रेशर लॉट ऑफ हाउसिंग शॉर्टेज इज़ देयर. तो अभी इसलिए एक ही जगह कंसंट्रेट रहे. तो रेजिडेंशियल के लिए अपने अंडर कंट्रोल, और या तो हमने लॉ को फॉलो किया या लॉ को चेंज जो है करवाया. तो आई इन्वॉल्व मोर देन 50 टाइम्स बाई लॉज हमने उस जगह के चेंज कराए जहाँ पे हम काम कर रहे थे. दिस इज़ नॉट पॉसिबल एवरीवेयर कि आप अपना इतनी अच्छी लाइजनिंग गवर्नमेंट के साथ यो करें. ऑफ कोर्स द क्रेडाई एंड एसोसिएशन हेल्प अस टू चेंज द पॉलिसीज, टू चेंज द बाई लॉज. तो वो भी एक कारण रहा कि जहाँ जितनी मेहनत आपने एक जगह करके एक जगह रेपुटेशन बनाई है, तो उसी को कितना एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं. दैट्स व्हाई कंसंट्रेटेड ऑन वन प्लेस ओनली.
And Irfan ji, you moved national primarily with offices to start with. So you know, it's a bold move. Mostly people say real estate is local, but of course the vision needs to be larger. Offices may, including very difficult markets like Delhi NCR.
I can't agree any less with Manoj. Yes, real estate is definitely localized. So if you can't do what you can do within your city, the way you know the rules, way you know the local geopolitics, you know the customer behavior, and if you're able to get your business there and if you're content, I would say that's the best thing to do. Now we have moved into multi-city, but most of the metropolitan cities, that was a move where we said, let's, even there we haven't gone hurtling it. It's an organic move. Slowly we've grown the teams, grown every city that we've been there. It's been a slow growth in those cities. Now wherever we are well established, we are well established. But we need to know the rules of the game in each city. And every city, customer behavior is different. Every city, the local nuances are different. The local politics are different. And for you to get in, deliver and get out is definitely a challenge. It's not easy at all. It looks glamorous, like you said, Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan on the screen, they look beautiful. But really speaking, the amount of acting and the amount of stuff that they have to do to look so good is what is the difficult part. And I would say it's small is beautiful, local is also very beautiful. And we have that ambition of going and doing what we are doing. Only time will tell how things pan out. I know some of my peers have tried and then it has not happened. Again, they're going in. We've gone in, we've taken God's name and done it, but then it's a tough one. We have to grow the teams. Most important is you need to have the people.
Fantastic. So I'll just maybe open to the floor for questions. Are there any questions? Are there? No questions at the moment. Can't see any.
See, on this growth thing, Anshul, the audience always looks for stories from me. So I'll give them one last story.
Yes, please.
So that story is also very relevant when you talk to me about growth. Now there's this young boy and his mother are flying a kite. I think all of us have flown kites, no? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So this young boy and mother are flying kites. The wind was very good. The kite was flying nice and high. And suddenly the young boy realized that the thread was getting over. And he told his mother, Mom, ye to dhaga khatam ho gaya. So what did the mother do? She just cut the thread and left it. This boy was a little aghast. Oh, पतंग उड़ते गए आसमान में, पर जितना ऊपर गए उतनी जल्दी से वो नीचे आके गिर गए. So what is the moral of the story? The mother asked. See, as long as this kite was tied to the string, there was some hold. Okay, so today, yes, we all want to fly, we all want to become big, we all want to be somebody else. But if we break our ethics, break our ground rules, and as long as we are not grounded, what happens is, yes, we'll fly for some time very high, but the very faster we go high, we'll also come down. So my friends, what I say is, yes, it's good to fly, be grounded, keep your principles, keep your ethics in order, and as much as you want, keep flying. I think everything will be fine.
शेखर भाई का एक सवाल है. एक और स्टोरी सुननी.
एक स्टोरी जो है इरफान भाई की मैं सुनाता हूँ. पुरानी स्टोरी याद आई यार. ऑलवेज जो है बहुत इंक्रेजिंग होती है इरफान भाई की स्टोरी. एक जगह सी ऑफ गैलीलियो आई थिंक वाटर आता है. ड्यू टू द माउंटेन्स इट इज स्टक डाउन, आगे कहीं नहीं जाता. एंड एडजस्टेंट टू दैट वाटर कम्स एंड फ्लो. देन मेरीन लाइफ जब वहाँ पे स्टडी की गई तो जहाँ पे पानी आके रुकता है देर इज नो लाइफ, नो कोरल्स, नो फिशेस, नथिंग. एंड ऑन द सेम थिंग वाटर आके वापस जा रहा है, ब्यूटीफुल लाइफ, सी लाइफ, लॉट ऑफ फिशेस एंड दिस. द मॉरल इज दैट कि जो चीज़ें आ रही हैं आपके पास से, अगर वो आके एक जगह रुक जाएगी, स्पेशली वेल्थ है या नॉलेज है, तो वो कोई यूज़ की नहीं है. अगर चीज़ें आपके पास आ रही हैं, चाहे वो वेल्थ है, नॉलेज है, वो अगर आप दूसरों को पास कर रहे हो तो दैट इज बिकम ब्यूटीफुल.
So the story of the Dead Sea and the Sea of Galilee, I'm surprised that Manoj ji has remembered this. Maybe I said this some 7, 8 years or 10 years ago in some, I don't know when. So Shekhar, you're happy with the story, na?
One more, new
न्यू स्टोरी.
अच्छा, ये दिल मांगे मोर, अभी बोल देता हूँ. देखो, मेरा एक always my विश्वास, my thought process, everything is, जो भी होता है इधर से होता है. Your mind has to be strong. You have to be sure that you want to do something. You have to have that will. As long as you believe in what you want to do, everything will work. So ये कहानी आपको बोल देता हूँ. There was this one farmer taking some 3 sheep. He was going to the market to sell his sheep. वो जाते जाते रास्ते में उसको एक नदी नजर आ गई. वो बेचारा देखा, अच्छी beautiful lake is there. Let me go there and freshen up, and then let me continue to the market. So then he goes, finds a tree, and he tries to tie up his 3 sheep. उसमें उसके पास था, रस्सी थी एक शीप को बनने के लिए. तो इधर उधर ढूंढा, कुछ रस्सी मिल गई, तो let me tie the other 2 fellows, otherwise they'll run away. So he suddenly saw one old man sitting under the tree. So he goes up there and said, Uncle, I just want to go and release myself in the lake. तो आपके पास रस्सी है क्या? तो उसने कहा कि भाई रस्सी तो नहीं है मेरे पास, मगर आपको एक उपाय देता हूँ. तो इसने क्या कहा, एक रस्सी से जैसा बनते एक शीप को बंद दो आप, दूसरे दोनों को विदाउट द रोप, बट सेम एक्शन कीजिए कि यू आर टाइंग द अदर 2 विद द रोप. रोप नहीं है, इनविजिबल रस्सी है, आप उसको बांध दो, किधर नहीं जाएंगे, आप मेरे पर विश्वास रखो, आप जाके आराम से फ्री होके आ जाओ. So this man does it. He goes, ties one sheep with the rope, the other two invisibly he ties them with the same actions. He goes to the lake, he gets freed up, gets fresh, and then he says, let me go on. So he unties the one which had tied up with the rope, and he starts moving. But the other two sheep are not moving. They're not going only. So then he says, ye kya ho gaya, abhi takleef ho gayi. Ye dono hil nahi rahe. So then he goes to the old man again. उसने कहा कि भी इन दोनों को भी तो आपने बांध रखा था, उसको तो पहले अनटाई करो, तब जाएंगे. तो इसने गया, उसको अनटाई किया, and then तीनों निकल गए. तो lot of times it happens in life is we tie ourselves with imaginary problems. So as long as we believe in what we are doing, as long as we don't, we simple issues will be there, but we tie ourselves up. So untie yourself, the world is your oyster. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this most enriching session. And thank you to the Honorable Moderator for moderating this, ladies and gentlemen. As we reset stage for the next session, please do pay attention to the films being played on the screen. Our gesture of thank you to our sponsors and our partners.
साल 300 महीने 1304 सप्ताह और इनके हर एक पल में हमने बनाया पाइपिंग को बेहतर. 25 साल पहले जब हमारा पहला कदम बदल सका भारत की प्लंबिंग का इतिहास. मुश्किल थी राहें पर मजबूत थे इरादे. सीपीवीसी पाइप्स को देश में प्रचलित कर एस्ट्रल ने स्थापित किए नए आदर्श.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are not breaking for lunch right now. We are heading into the next session. So I may request you all of you who are probably heading out to catch lunch. This is not the lunch break. Please do come back, settle down and take your seats.
पाथफेयर और पेंट्स बिजनेस विकसित करने में आपका अमूल्य योगदान. क्वालिटी और इनोवेशन की बुनियाद को रखा बरकरार. कभी मुश्किलों से नहीं मानी हार. आपके साथ और सबके परिश्रम से एस्ट्रल पहुंचा घर घर. बिल्डिंग की सामग्री को बनाया और भी बेहतर. सबका भरोसा किया हासिल. फॉर्च्यून इंडिया 500 को बने काबिल. घर के निर्माण को बनाया बेहतर. देश विदेश में हुई कदर. विश्वास, परिश्रम और उन्नति की कहानी. हमारे और आपके रिश्ते की कहानी. आओ सब मिलके प्रण लेते हैं. कुछ नया यहाँ कर जाए और एस्ट्रल के 25 साल साथ मिलके मनाएं. 25 साल से एस्ट्रल को अविरत साथ देने के लिए धन्यवाद. थैंक यू.
Dear delegates, please do settle down and take your seats, especially to my right. We have a speaker who's flown in from Hong Kong. This is a very, very exciting session. बहुत मजा आएगा आपको इस session में. This is not the lunch break. थोड़ा जल्दी से if you all can just settle down, अपना अपना स्थान ग्रहण कर लें. And this next session is called Time Machine into the Future. जी हाँ, ये अगला session आपको झलक दिखलाया जाएगा भविष्य की. We have with us the one and the only James Law. Yeah, the founder of Cybertecture, a multidisciplinary design firm based in Hong Kong. He's known across the world for his innovative and sustainable designs that have had the most positive impact on the quality of human life. He's been recognized as a young global leader at the World Economic Forum. We at Credai Natcon are most delighted to have him here with us. Please welcome on stage James Law. Yay! Good evening. Aye, please. Zordar taaliyon ke saath, everyone. James Law, founder, chairman, and CEO of Cybertecture. And talking to him is the very dynamic Benita Dalal, co-convener of the Credai Youth Wing, and the head fundraising Keystone Realtors and co-founder K Capital. Hello, and over to you. May I please invite on stage Dhruv Patel and Viral Shah of Team Credai Gujarat to felicitate James Law, please. Thank you, James, for taking the time out and joining us here at Credai Natcon. Everyone in this packed house is looking forward to your session, I can tell by the excitement in the air. And Benita is going to do a great job of this session. So Benita, over to you. And one last time, निवेदन है आप सबसे कि आप सभी अपना अपना स्थान ग्रहण कर लें. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think after a fabulous and power-packed session of Irfan sir and Manoj ji, we only now owe it to you, James, to take us to the future. So James has been more of a friend for the last decade. I remember the first time we met is when he was working with us on a project, and then he was kind enough to take us to Tokyo and make us meet the biggest of the biggest people over there because of all the great work that he does. I think this session is going to be an eye-opener on what design, functionality, future looks like. And I'll hand it over to you, James, to take it from here.
Thank you very much, Benita. First of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to Credai for having me here. There's many friends here, especially Baman, who invited me. So lovely to see lots of friends here. Today, we're going to take you on a very, very special journey. And this journey is very close to my heart because as an architect, we are very similar to the real estate industry. What we make shapes the lives of the people around us. And some of the buildings which I had the privilege of building in India, I really feel they are like time machines. Because when they were built and when they were turned on and when people started to use them, they changed the society that they are placed in. These two buildings in Mumbai, the capital, and one BKC, I proudly say, 10 years ago, instigated a rapid transformation of BKC, set the standards for what design and architecture can do to create BKC into a financial capital that is recognized around the world. But today, I want you to come on that journey with me. Every real estate developer is a traveler in a time machine because every project you make is transferring the changes that you want to create through the projects you make to the people that are your customers and your users. So what is the future? What is that future that we want to travel to in these time machines? So today my talk is called Time Machine to the Future. And I want you to think from the point of view that you are a time traveler too. In Saudi Arabia, we were invited by the Crown Prince to think about what the future of the city could be. He told me that Riyadh has 7 million people and growing. What would this new Riyadh be if we had to start all over again? So we created something that broke all of the rules, because the future is about innovation and recreating what we are already knowing. A city of 7 million people, designed, engineered, powered, operated on a level that has never been done before. A city that is truly decentralized, no cars, no city centers, no traffic jam, entirely carbon neutral, growing its own plants and its own agriculture in its own district, conserving water, generating energy from new sources of energy around its own district. And this new Riyadh for post-2030 is a model of what this time machine can really take us to. For the people here in this room, your careers will span the next 50, 100 years. We must think ahead, just like my country, China, thought ahead 30 years ago, and look at what we have achieved. And today in India, we see the opportunities not to do the same things again, but to board that time machine, to create the next generation of city. And this city, being of absolute new invention, has new opportunities for employment, new opportunities for social fabric. Each of these technospheres, these megastructures, houses 55,000 people for work, play, and also their daily lives and the culture that they experience. And they will be connected using the hyperloops, autonomous driving, and with no need for the usual fabric of our society, which is the car. The buildings will be entirely carbon neutral, and the site will generate enough energy to power the entire southern parts of Saudi Arabia from the city itself. This city can grow limitlessly, and we must be optimistic about the future, that beyond 7 billion, 8 billion, 9 billion, 10 billion people on this planet, our urbanized areas must have a new kind of approach, a new kind of vision. So our cities really will become a different kind of experience. And real estate developers have a big role to play in that. You will be apportion opportunities in these cities to provide your buildings, to provide your services, as part of a brave new world, a world where the rules are upgraded. India becomes India 1.0 to become India 2.0, and so it should be. And so we really believe that architecture and real estate should be engineered for the future, that buildings are not what they seem today. They should not stay the same. These megastructures are designed to be more energy efficient, faster to build, easier to maintain, and keep us safe in an extreme world where climate change is already creating so many problems for us. Re-engineering and delivering nature again into our social fabric, opening up the land again, touching it as least as possible, was the kind of edict that the Crown Prince gave to me. So I bring that message and ambition from across the Red Sea to this platform to you, that this kind of ambition that China had and Saudi Arabia has, surely should also be something that India has. Another extremely brave project that we're doing for the Crown Prince at the moment on the Red Sea is an entirely new approach to what a city even means. This isn't about replacing a city. This is about creating the next kind of urbanization. This is a city for 3 million people built out of carving land from the Red Sea. It is a city over 100 hectares in size, and it recreates nature and oxygen for the entire northern parts of Saudi Arabia. It is connected by 2 mega dams that has over 10,000 tidal generators. we have studied that with climate change, the tidal ranges that is going to be extreme in the Red Sea will be able to power this entire city and the entire northern parts of the district of Saudi Arabia with the equivalent of 10 times more energy than the Three Gorges Dam in China. That energy becomes the power and the energy that goes behind the nature of the city. You might think a city is about us, it's about human beings, but no, the cities of the future need to embody all of the other life on our planet. So in the center of the city, we have a giant safari park where we reintroduce nature, bring back the vegetation and fauna that is beginning to be dissipated on our planet, nurture the dying species of our planet, so that we really create a Noah's Ark for the future. And the oxygen that is created is benefiting the whole region. So you can see the priority isn't just about people. We don't only sell to people, we sell to nature. And utilizing the same kind of automated AI management system, transportation systems, we link the city seamlessly without the need of a single car. So what I'm trying to say is that you're on a time machine today, and I'm showing you what I believe the future can be, not only for Saudi Arabia, but for every single project being done in every part of your country. There should be a level of courage and innovation. There should be a level of forward thinking, one that takes our entire population to the next level, to upgrade them to the next level of living, more equitable, more sustainable, more jolly, certainly with a lot of enthusiasm about what the future brings for them. Not just another tower, not just another district, but something that opens up their imagination and creates the platform for what humanity can create because we think for the future. We are not only making buildings, we are currently collaborating with Airbus Industries to create the next generation of terraforming architecture. There's a lot of studies saying that on our planet, much of the attractive location areas will be affected by climate change. They'll become too hot. Radiation will become too strong. So we've created a floating architecture that is able to fly autonomously around the world to create shaded shelters in the most sought-after areas on our planet. This flying architecture is entirely possible, and we hope to have the first prototype up and running in the next few years. And again, driven by the vision of the Crown Prince, to create a new kind of terraforming that protects his cities in Saudi Arabia, as well as activating the opportunities and protecting the assets that we have in our cities. This flying silver cloud, codenamed Silver Cloud, utilizes, of course, balloon technology, drone technology, etc. Also utilizes the latest in wireless transmission and energy. So the skin of this silver cloud actually absorbs the energy from the sun, uses a part of it for its own propulsion, but then further is transmitted back to the ground, where we can terraform parts of the desert to create oases and shelter for people that otherwise wouldn't use that part of the country. So we have a very powerful set of futuristic tools. What we design and build can change the nature of our ground. And this, I believe, is also an important part of our future. Of course, the value is in the buildable land. But one day we can not only build on the buildable land, but we have to create shelter for people on the unbuildable land. Architecture and architects, we love pouring concrete, We love destroying our planet. And that has to stop. I think we should work together to create new sustainable architecture that is very much like nature. This project we're doing in Africa actually creates artificial trees that live and breathe like a normal tree. In fact, much of the cladding material is also organic and grows over time. And this kind of organic architecture is one where we can actually build in symbiosis with nature, not in conflict with nature. We have the material sciences available to us. We have the know-how. We just need to open our minds. We need to be gardeners more than builders. We need to be horticulturalists more than contractors. And so we are really excited about this project in Abidjan, in Côte d'Ivoire, where over 20 years, these buildings would grow from the ground, using the actual resources on site, just like a plant would, to create an architecture that is zero carbon and will grow and evolve with time, with the site, with the culture of the people. This is me sitting on top of a small house. And I believe this small house potentially is the DNA that will solve some of our construction problems in the future. Modular construction is a revisitation of what the Industrial Revolution gave us, but for the construction industry, which is to build fast, build cheaply, build in high quality, using our technology of mechanization and production. I'm currently in partnership with China State Construction, and we have collaborated on China's most advanced automated housing manufacturing factory, which has 190 robots. These are the first set of robotically created modular houses coming out of the factory. This factory is able to create 25,000 of these houses a year with 90 staff, and with an efficiency and cost ratio that is beyond anything in conventional construction. I believe this is the future of construction. And I believe that everyone can be an architect. When we build in a modular way, we can allow people to design their own house. They can choose these Lego blocks, combine together in the way they want. We don't need to guess what they want. They can participate in the creative process. And ultimately, why this is a solution for the future is that vast cities will not be built on site. They will not create clouds of dust and pollution. These cities will be built in factories, delivered to the site, uplifted into structures. And potentially for the users, they can move these modules to other cities one day, literally to move house. So today, in our time machine, we have bravely gone into the future. That courage to look at the opportunities is also an opportunity for all of you to evolve your businesses into not only profitable ones, but ones which have social responsibility and investing in a future that is more bright, more innovative, and more courageous. I think it's a real privilege for me to stand here and share some of these visions with you today. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you.
My God, James, you literally took the entire concept of thinking out of the box and you blew it out of the park, and we're all wondering whether we should go back to formwork, precast, or pre-constructed homes. It's amazing to see how you bring your imagination to life, and I think I've seen this across all the projects that you've created, and now with your partnership with the Saudi government. Just a couple of questions to kind of, take that conversation ahead. You spoke about sustainability, and climate change. What is it that you've brought about in your futuristic designs now which are making this more sustainable than the projects that we're seeing today?
You know, I think the sustainability challenge is one that is a wake-up call and something that we have to embrace. And different people approach it differently. Some people think it's a problem from which we have to U-turn from. For me, I believe that it is a wake-up call and challenge for us to innovate in our designs with new materials, new strategies, new planning, to create a second nature. A nature that is the next generation of nature. We cannot replicate nature, we cannot heal nature. But what we build in our cities, what we build in our buildings, can become an element of a new second nature. And so, in every aspect from design to construction, to planning to strategy, to really thinking about how our people uses our spaces, are the starting points for this new second nature. And I'm very optimistic about that.
That's very interesting, and it's great to see that how you're trying to build it from design to architecture to implementation and delivery. I think a lot of people will wonder how much is it that it is costing the Saudi government to recreate these cities, which I'm not really sure if you have an answer, because that's a very important part if anyone wants to look at a project of this scale. So if you can just help us with that.
So I cannot speak on behalf of the Crown Prince and Saudi Arabia, but what I can say in terms of budget is that on the scale of a nation, and thinking not in decades, but thinking in centuries, the potential size of these investments and the size of these ideas are minuscule. Without that kind of scale of thought, backed up by that scale of commitment, money doesn't play a part. After that, the money needs to be put in. Of course, some nations are wealthier than others, but when you're building the potential 21st, 22nd century lifeboat for humanity, it isn't about penny pinching, especially at the inception stage. So I've been very privileged to be encouraged by very wise, strong leaders who have a vision that believes in something that is more than just the economics of today, but one that opens up the economics of the future.
I'm sure, you know, it's a great thing when you are in that phase and have reached that place where you have the right people to back these ideas, because they are phenomenal to kind of bring to life. You know, you spoke about having this floating cloud to protect for climate change. I'm trying to imagine that over probably a city in India, and I just want you to just touch a bit more on how that would function.
Okay.
And you can choose your city in India where you want to do it.
So actually, the silver clouds is a very interesting concept. I don't know if you've noticed in the last 5 to 10 years, when we go out and we look at the sky, do you remember in your childhood days, clouds used to be around all the time? They floated around the sky. In the last 5 to 10 years, clouds have significantly decreased on our planet's surface. So the silver clouds is a kind of human-made analogy of our natural clouds, which provide us with shelter from our solar gain, but also gives us a kind of sense of protection, a sense of time as they float across. It is our intention that these designs are not like giant machines that float above you and kind of, the UFO has arrived, but very much a natural design that changes shape by its pixelation. Each part of the cloud is a self-motivated flying drone, changing its shape, dealing with the amount of climate control necessary over that particular area. So that, again, I bring out that word second nature. We hope that whether it's floating above the skies of India or China or the Middle East, it becomes a second nature that keeps us reminded of once upon a time the first nature that protected us. But now we have the second nature to re-augment what we have in fact lost before. So that's the purpose of the design.
Nice, that's very interesting. I just wanted to know, where do you get your motivation and imagination from? Is it still Star Wars or have you moved from there?
Honestly, I'm asked a lot about this. I think the honest answer is this. I look around this room, I see every single set of eyes here. We all are very, very lucky. We are very lucky to be the builders of our planet. We are lucky to have the skills, the resources, the know-how, and the opportunity. It motivates me every day to keep learning, to keep looking around, to learn from others, to learn from nature, to learn from my travels, to learn from the archaeology of Egypt about the beauty of the potentials that we still have ahead of us. From there, ideas pop up, and I'm very lucky.
No, I think we're all lucky that we get to experience all your amazing ideas each time that you kind of come and chat with us. I think I'm going to ask you the last two questions, and then we can open up to the audience in case anyone has any questions. You spoke about creating artificial trees, okay? In a way, aren't you solving the challenge of deforestation?
I try
and
to
then,
solve...
you know, it literally motivates people to cut more trees in a way.
Actually, you know, trees are an architecture that is more beautiful than any architect can do. But artificial trees have now got a role to play. For example, in Saudi Arabia, there is a plan to plant over 1 trillion trees. But some of these trees cannot be natural trees. They need to be trees that act as a catalyst to creating communities of trees that can grow in a healthy way, especially in the challenging areas. I love trees. I remember in my childhood days, the opportunity to climb up trees and to experience nature. So I believe that we should make new generation of trees, either through bioengineering to make our trees more resilient to climate change, to actually technical trees that keeps us safe, that senses the state of the environment, warns us when there's pathogens, and really create, again, a culture of shelter that, again, unfortunately, we have managed to dissipate a lot in the last 50 years.
Interesting. I'm going to ask the last question, and I'll kind of open up to the audience. With the entire PropTech wave and the entire wave of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, how much of it are you implementing within your projects? Because I know you do a lot of home automation as well.
Very much, very much. Every single member of my company uses artificial intelligence for design, for management, for presentations, for drafting letters. Artificial intelligence is the new extra super arm on our body. And with the right values in place, we should all use it with a degree of wisdom to maximize our creativity, to maximize our productivity, and to use it to solve some of the problems that we can't solve ourselves. And by that I mean is when we design a city, like the ones you've seen, we cannot as human beings simulate or predict how they will work, how they will be organized, how they will grow, etc. Artificial intelligence can do that, simulate and predict scenarios for us. So absolutely, we are in an era of risk, we're in an era of instability, but we can weave a higher level of stability when we use these new tools starting to become available to us.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm going to open it up to the audience if anyone has any questions for James while we have him on stage over here. You will definitely also have him amongst us after this session, but anyone has any questions? Sorry? Have you written a book already? Wow.
As long as you would buy it, I would write it.
Anyone else? Sarah, you have a question, wow.
Okay, this is a question which just went into my mind. When you spoke of deforestation and solving, like with artificial trees, are we going, how do you weigh between going against nature, trying to solve the problem, or do you give importance to actually solving the real problem of getting more, what is with nature or flowing with nature?
Yeah, very good question. In fact, there are many, many very, very knowledgeable researchers around the world who postulate that the rescue of our planet will be predicated on three approaches. One is an immediate kind of operative way where we build things that substitute what we have lost. The second way is a kind of homeopathic way where we try to encourage what was there before to grow again. And the third is one which is just based on time. We don't know what the future brings, but we just have to power it with an optimism that the previous two approaches will eventually yield a kind of critical mass that allows the planet to tell us how it can heal itself. And we'd never underestimate that, because at the end of the day, we are 1 out of 1 million species on this planet. And there are all these other species which are doing their jobs in trying to heal our planet. So in a small way, as an architect, as the human contribution, we're much more on the operative side. We try on a kind of policy and leadership level and a community level, try to be the homeopathic side. But then the third part is we have to rely on our planet over time to tell us what their final outcome would be. So we should do all of those three things at the same time.
Awesome. I think that's been, oh, you have one more question? Okay, can we do this offline? Yeah, so Jim, because I think it's lunch and everyone is really, really hungry after last night. But James, thank you so much. I think every time that we get to see you and you kind of present to us, it makes us feel like you can really go chase your imagination and bring it to life. I've seen it with each and every design, right from the flying pods to where you are today. Thank you so much. It's been an enlightening journey into the future. And we look forward to a conversation over lunch with you.
Thank you, Benita, for moderating that. And thank you, James, once again for being here with us. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, lunch. We propose a 1-hour lunch. It's 2:10 p.m. right now. Can we have all of you back in your seats by 3:10 p.m. Please, we have a very exciting session at the end of the conference day with a leading celebrity from Mumbai. And post-lunch, we have the open house session. So 3:10, I will see you all back in your seats. Thank you.
He leads a brand that's chosen the world over. He leads a group that's one of the world's fastest growing in bath and light products. he's been spearheading a quiet revolution over the past decades, changing the perception of bathrooms in India and changing the perception of India's manufacturing skills worldwide. His company is setting new expectations of quality and customer service in bath spaces, in lighting solutions, in design. It's a trusted super brand, 12 years in a row. It's India's most searched bath brand on Google. A brand present in over 55 countries today, with its own Jaguar World.
खूबसूरत सी तुम कोई चिंता करो सपनों में रंग भरने की बेफिक्र चिंता करो पीछे भरोसा खड़ा है तुम्हारे तुम नया कर बनाते रहो।
जब कोई हमारी बाकी चिंताओं को संभाल लेता है तो हम कर पाते हैं खूबसूरत सी कोई चिंता। टाटा कैपिटल में हम आपकी हर फाइनेंशियल चिंता को संभाल लेते हैं ताकि आप करें सिर्फ खूबसूरत चिंताएं।
A nation in ascent. Skyscrapers touching the heavens. Foundations built on dreams. For every grand vision, there's a blueprint. For every blueprint, there's HDFC Bank, a legacy of financial expertise and decades of wisdom that